Welcome back to Make Do. I'm David.
And I'm James. Today we're finally going to be making the highly anticipated Boba Fett helmet.
As you probably guessed, we aren't just making one, we're making two.
This build wouldn't have been possible without our partner for today's video, Intrepid Dawn 3D printing, as well as White Shadow custom liners.
Our friends at Intrepid Dawn sent over not one, but two of these beautiful Boba Fett helmet kits. They include everything you need to build your own bucket, down to the perfectly tinted visors.
Intrepid Dawn also has an amazing selection of 3D printed kits available on their Etsy page, including many other Star Wars props. We've actually been eyeing up that Bo-Katan helmet. There's a link to their shop in the description below.
White Shadow Custom Liners also sent over one of their fantastic Boba Fett helmet liners. There's a link to their work in the description as well.
These kits are a great way to get into prop building even if you don't own a 3D printer.
Even though we do own a 3D printer, it was really nice to have everything printed as one piece, so we didn't have to slice everything up like we did with the Mando helmet.
And these prints are just beautiful and look like they're going to be very easy to work with.
These are actually just prototypes. The prints you can currently purchase are even better quality. Be sure to stick around to the end of the video to see how you can save on your next purchase from Intrepid Dawn.
And yes, it does include the rangefinder. It is set up to receive electronics, but we won't be covering that in this video. These visors are a little bit different than the ones we used on our Mando video. They have a much darker tint, but are just as visible.
We ended up cutting our own visors out, but when you buy your kit, it will come pre-cut and ready to just pop in. Again, we're just excited to have these main buckets printed in one piece. It makes everything way more sturdy and easier to work with. Don't have to worry about cracking it in half, or your seams popping open, or losing a piece, or printing a piece backwards, or forgetting to print a piece, or drilling a hole through it, losing pegs, glue just coming out. Like most of our projects, the majority of our time will be spent sanding.
We utilize various grits of sandpaper, needle files, and wood filler to remove every layer line and imperfection we can find.
Like we always say, taking the extra time to clean up your print will result in a more convincing, realistic final product. After everything is smooth, we give it a nice heavy coat of primer. Then you guessed it, more sanding.
One final coat of primer, this time in dark gray.
Then we polish everything with steel wool and a high grit sanding sponge to get it ready for paint. Now it's time to have some fun. We have two helmets after all.
David and I are each going to be doing a different version of Boba's helmet. I really liked Boba's Rearmored helmet from the second season of The Mandalorian, and will be taking inspiration from that design. Overall, the color scheme is a bit darker than previous versions of his helmet, so I started with a base coat of black.
I'll be doing a post-Sarlacc pit distressed and beaten up design, complete with chipped paint, rust, and plenty of grime. Even though my helmet is going to be weathered, I need to think in reverse. I start with a shiny metal coat. This is the base of the helmet, and as I layer paint, it will be chipped away to reveal the raw metal underneath. Although it is disappointing because this all-silver version would look really cool.
I'll then be painting the whole helmet green, as well as coating the earpieces in a sandy beige and the rangefinder arm in a silver. Again, we are not going for 100% accuracy here, but rather capturing the look and feel of the helmet.
While James is painting, I can get started on my first layer of chipped paint. This is a cheap and effective paint chipping technique that can create some convincing results. To achieve this, I'm going to be trying out a new technique that uses toothpaste. Basically, I'll be using the toothpaste as a resist, placing it where I want the silver undercoat to show through. This is just like using masking tape, just with a more random and organic edge. However, before applying the toothpaste, there are a few hard lines I need to mask with masking tape. A skewer is helpful to press the tape into tight areas. Now I can apply the toothpaste using the same wooden skewer. I'm not using any specific kind of toothpaste, but if you try this, I would definitely recommend picking something that you don't mind smelling for the next 3 days. It gets everywhere. This is spearmint. I do have some reference and a basic idea of where I want the paint to be chipped. The goal is to tell a story with various chips, scratches, and wear. Everywhere I place toothpaste will remain silver. Again, it's like I'm working in reverse. Now that everything is good and gross, I will spray on the next layer of paint, coating everything including the toothpaste. I'm starting with this nice coffee brown. It is important for this next step that I've let the paint completely dry. I'm going to go over the whole helmet with a damp rag, wiping away the toothpaste, revealing the masked off silver below. I clean off the other pieces the same way, making sure to make a mess. It just feels right to use a toothbrush for this. This effect is extremely convincing. I'll definitely be using this technique on future projects. Next layer of paint is going to be gray. Once again, I go over the whole helmet with toothpaste. This time making sure to vary the placement so both the brown and the silver will show through.
With my green base done, I can start layering on my details, starting with the red visor outline. To get those nice crisp lines, I'm going to be using masking tape. I start with the thinner green detail tape to work around the contours of the helmet. I take my time and make sure my curves are consistent. After the detailing is done, I go back with blue painter's tape to fill in the larger areas. I continue to work around the helmet, covering everything I want to remain green. This packing material is a great way to mask off large areas without wasting tape. Just be sure that paint cannot sneak through any gaps. And I'm ready for paint. We'll have a full list of all the colors we used for this project in the description below.
After the gray paint dried, I removed the toothpaste just like before. Then, just like James, I move on to masking off the red areas on my helmet, starting by defining the curves, and then moving to block off larger areas. I also utilize an X-Acto to trim out the masking around the ears. My weather design can stand to have a few cuts in the paint. Once I have my red areas taped off, you guessed it, more toothpaste. Just as before, I cover the areas I want to remain untouched by the next coat of red paint. Then it's time for the best part, removing the masking tape. It isn't as fun when there's toothpaste everywhere, but it's still pretty satisfying. I wipe away the toothpaste and you can really start to see the effect of the layered chipped paint. I absolutely love this finish. I repeat the same masking and toothpasting process as before for the final coat of green.
With my red paint dry, I can remove all the masking tape. It's like Christmas. Next up, I mask off those iconic Mandalorian cheekbones, making sure to get those curves just right. I cover the rest of the helmet to prevent any overspray.
No surprise here, I remove the masking tape and wash away the toothpaste. There he is. And that's Boba Fett. He's so Christmassy. And wash away the goo. A spooky bucket is not required, but it is helpful. I think the reason the finish is so convincing is because it actually is just chipped paint. You really get that dimension and layering effect.
I do the same revealing a much cleaner and respectable Boba.
Yo, just because your helmet ain't full of toothpaste, you think it's better?
It's beautiful.
We're still missing one iconic detail. Boba's kill stripes. We're just going to be doing this by eye. The complex curve of the helmet makes it a little more difficult to use a stencil successfully. I start by running 2 lines of tape parallel to each other. I then create a spacer out of cardstock so I can mark out the stripes consistently across the helmet. And I can cut the spacer in half and make James mark his own helmet.
We work our way across the helmet until we fill the space. I believe canonical Boba has 15 stripes, but we only put on 13. Please forgive us. We mask off the rest of the helmet and spray on our stripes.
Oh, and of course, I have to add some toothpaste. And then we seal everything in with a coat of clear varnish. I'm going with a satin finish, and James is going with a matte. I can finally put everything together. The kit from Intrepid Dawn comes with a few mounting options. These holes can be used for screws or even magnets so you can disassemble the helmet for easy transportation. We, however, will be gluing everything. The kit also comes with 2 magnets that can be used to keep the rangefinder locked in position. I rough the surface of the helmet to help the glue to better adhere. With the right ear, there's a slight gap between the upper and lower pieces. The holes for the screws are actually a great way to double check and make sure that I'm gluing the pieces in the right place. We didn't end up using the magnets for the rangefinder. Our fit was pretty snug, so we used them for the ear cap instead so it could be removable. Remember kids, always check your polarity. I finished by gluing the rangefinder together and attaching it to the arm. Then it just slides in place and the ear cap goes on top. And there it is.
And I did what he did.
It's time for the finishing details, starting with these little arrows. I'm using some Vallejo model paint and some super tiny brushes to get into the details. Okay, now that that's all done, it's time to get this thing really grimy. I cover small areas with a mixture of black and brown paint. After allowing the paint to sit for a few seconds, I wipe it away, leaving behind a thin layer of filth. I continue working over the whole helmet, really focusing on areas that would naturally gather dirt and grime. This technique is actually really fun to do and helps to sell the age of the overall piece. Next up, I'm going to be adding some rust. To do this, I place a little bit of white glue to the areas I want to be rusted. And then I just dust a little bit of cinnamon, blow away the excess. This creates a realistic and delicious smelling rust. I highlight a couple areas with silver rub and buff to give the appearance of a more recent scratch. It's amazing how much weathering can really tie a paint job together and just sell the overall look of a prop.
I too start by painting on these tiny arrows. My weathering will not be as intense, but we'll be using some of the same techniques as David, but with a bit of a lighter touch. After applying the wash to the whole helmet, I go in with silver rub and buff to highlight all the high spots on the helmet. This helps define the shape and add some contrast and shine to the overall matte finish.
Next up, we glue in the visors. For more detail on gluing these in, you can check out our Mando helmet build.
To take this build to the next level, WS Custom Liners hooked us up with a set of Boba Helmet inserts. The detail and finish on these is just beautiful. They are also clearly labeled for perfect placement.
And everything is made from one piece of foam, making it sturdy and comfortable.
We ended up just tacking these in with hot glue. We might go back later and use something more robust once we're sure everything fits our heads correctly, but for now hot glue works well. We know a lot of you have been asking us for this build ever since we made the Mando helmet, and we hope we did it justice.
Now we know these aren't 100% screen accurate, there are a couple of details that are missing, but we really feel like we captured the spirit of the designs.
I'm so happy that Boba is back, and of course I obviously love the Rearmored look, and I'm very happy to have my own helmet in this style.
And I had a lot of fun creating something that was so beat up and so weathered, it really looks like something you might have pulled out of the deserts of Tatooine. It has that Return of the Jedi look, just pushed even further and even more worn, and I absolutely love it.
You get that off Jawas?
Yeah.
It's also fun to make another wearable prop, especially something so iconic.
Yeah, it's probably the most iconic build we have done on the channel so far. So if you have any more suggestions, be sure to let us know.
This was one of our more challenging projects, and we want to give another huge thanks to Intrepid Dawn 3D Printing for supplying the prints. They were a dream to work with.
And of course, thank you to WS Custom Liners for supplying these amazing inserts. They really help make the bucket feel real.
If you're interested in buying your own Boba kit or one of Intrepid Dawn's many other kits, you can use code MAKEDO, one word, all caps, on their Etsy shop to save 15% on any orders over $50.
We highly recommend these kits. They're a great way to get into prop building without needing to invest in a 3D printer. We will have links to their work below, as well as a complete list of supplies we use to build these beauties.
Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell to stay up to date with all of our upcoming content. New videos every other week.
Our next B-Sides episode is going to be featuring our first Pokemon project, and then we're going to be jumping back into Animal Crossing for a fun summer project.
Thanks for watching.
See you in the next one. How are we going to clean all this up?
No disintegrations.
Fine.